Hello,
Hello.
welcome to the brand new podcast called Carrots and Cookies.
Yes.
We don't know why we are calling carrots and cookies. Well, kind of. I like
Yeah.
carrots.
And I like cookies.
We also have this awesome background here for those who listen or watch on YouTube, where you can see carrots and cookies, and you can see ships because I like ships.
And crystals. Because most of the games I like have crystals.
for and these are not Elder Scrolls Online crystals. Just saying.
But
Uh,
it's one of the games I like.
it's true. It's true. I don't hate Elder Scrolls Online. All right, so as you've heard already, well we didn't hear that. My co-host here is Esutick. You will hear me calling her Esu, and I am Cheg, also known as just Cheg. Used to be known as Bearded Cheg, still bearded, but didn't like people calling me just bearded. uh, and we decided we've been doing content creation for a while, and since the name of our podcast, which I really dig now that I look at it, is not really explaining what we're all about. We're going to be having bi-weekly podcast that the first one it's only Esso and me, but we're also going to have guests, hopefully every time, who is another content creator, and we're going to talk about in general hurdles on any platforms, be it YouTube or Twitch, if live streaming or any kind of video or sound, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Content is content, right? And all the problems and the issues with like growing on these platforms and all the good stuff that comes with it, like enjoying your community or meeting new friends, since two of us have met same way. Um, Not going to talk about it anymore. You guys are going to figure it out. But the first episode we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit so that you can know who you are listening to, or you can also see us because if you're on YouTube, you can see the camera, and if you're not on YouTube, you can go to YouTube and check just to know who you are listening to. So, Esu, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us more about you.
Just Cheg on YouTube. Nice one, man. Nice one. I thought I was the one that brought the dad jokes here. Hello, I am Esutick, but everyone calls me Esu for short, or Isu, whatever part of the world you are happening to be on. I am in the Netherlands, and I currently stream full time with a variety focusing on Final Fantasy 14. I started streaming roughly about 4 years ago, and I've been through lots of ups and downs. But currently on a pretty good up streak, which we'll also be talking about for sure the coming episodes.
Um, you want to mention like a little bit about like so we roughly started at the same time, kind of, and what is really interesting, I think we both had like relatively early kind of peak when we started streaming, and yeah, you decided to like kind of stop and make a break there, and uh, I know about this. We know each other pretty well, but I, if you want to share it, that's amazing because I think a lot of people can connect with that, and I don't think it's the only way to tackle the issue that happened, but I think it's one of a really good ways. So if you want to just touch on that a little bit, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, no, sure, of course. Yeah, so when I started streaming, I was streaming one specific game only, and was doing pretty well. Was quite quickly recognized within the community. Met yours truly, one of them among them, and was really going up in numbers, going up in growing community, followers, rates, everything. And then at some point, I hit a wall and things started crumbling down, and I started really getting lost. The numbers dropping and everything got really to me, and I wasn't really sure on how to fix it, so I was just doing things, just streaming different games, being live, whatnot, not really thinking it through, until I really hit a point where I thought to myself, I need to stop and step out of it and zoom out and look at what are the issues, what can I solve, and how am I going to look at things that are important to me when I'm streaming. Um, and came back after a break stronger.
And like bright, just like the atmosphere in your stream was such a different thing because as we and I went through this as well. Just my way of fighting it was different. But you were so refreshed. You came back with obviously completely different idea of what you want from streaming in the first place, right? Like monetary gains and numbers are always good. We are humans.
Yes,
It
definitely.
feels good until it
Definitely.
feels bad, right?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I really looked at what was bothering me during stream and took away all those hurdles. Things like turning off follower count, follower alerts, turning off the numbers that you can see of how many viewers you have and everything. Only looking at it afterwards and not during anymore, which was for me like a real good step in the right direction. On top of making sure that whatever I did and do still to this day is while having fun. So, yeah,
We tend to forget that, and there's so much we gain in our streams. Like obviously not everyone does. I always say you need to have that something, whatever it is. It's different for every content creator. But let's say you do, and obviously if you've been streaming for such a long time, there is that because there are some people sticking around regardless of numbers. And then you connect to other people. You learn so much while streaming. You get so many great experiences, and you create community around you, which is something very very unique to streaming and a couple other professions, I would say. But for like anyone can technically try and get to a point where people have you as part of the of their everyday routine and whatnot, and you help them go through that everyday hurdle that they have. And we just
yeah,
what we get like stuck in these numbers and everything, and obviously they have fluctuations, but no one prepares you for that when you start streaming, right? And you found a
no,
way to combat that, and it's visible. Oh my god, it's so much more chill now in the streams. You have great community. I feel welcomed whenever whenever I go in and I'm like, hey, what's up, Esu and chat, and people just reply like, hey, what's up, how's it going and all that. You get the thing going all the time. It's a lot of fun. Love it.
thank you, thank you. And the same can be said for you. So maybe you can tell everyone who you are.
I can. As you heard already, or you can see under my camera, I go by Cheg or just Cheg. Um, I am from Serbia, but I have a little bit of a crazy background before I started streaming. I've been gaming since I don't know, since I know about myself, but basically first games that I really was getting into were some kind of like I would say Red Alert Aftermath, where like the first kind of multiplayer games kind of bought me. Those were like the old LAN centers. So Quake 2, Duke Nukem, Red Alert. And then I've discovered Diablo 2 and StarCraft. And then I ended up playing StarCraft on a semi-professional level here in Serbia. We were playing tournaments and whatnot. I started making some money. I was really young, and my parents were not very happy about it. Um, and then it bled into Guild Wars, World of Warcraft, later Elder Scrolls Online, which is where we met while streaming the same game. And I figured out I really love the idea of playing MMOs, and I want to say I've been playing MMOs ever since. Um, and that has always been my main like. If I don't have an MMO to stick with, I feel lost. I feel like I don't belong anymore. So there's that. But I also amongst the many jobs that I did, I worked on board cruise ships for about 10 years, which allowed me to not only travel the world but also um, meet people from quite literally all around the world. So each cruise ship, I'm not gonna bother with it too much, but like each cruise ship has around 100 different nationalities on board when it comes to crew members. Um, and we get on and off all the time. So during one like 6 month contract, you're gonna probably meet about 3 4 thousand people working on board from all around the world, and it's pretty much RNG. Who's you're gonna eat with, who's gonna be your colleague, depending on where you're working, and you're always working like very, very, you know, small teams that are. It's very important to be able to lean on the other person and whatnot, regardless of department and whatnot. You also don't know who's gonna be your roommate, so it's and this at first, because I started very young, I was like 21, I was already on board. At first, this was very strange and annoying for me, but I grew into really enjoying this. And due to this kind of living where I'm rarely at home and whatnot, I ended up with some other things that affected me. I ended up being a very depressed person as well. And this actually led to me streaming because obviously I've been gaming forever and I used to watch Twitch when it was still just in TV. So streaming as a consumer of streams, I've been going way back, and I always loved it. And if you watch streams, you always feel like, man, I can do that as well.
Yep.
Until you try, then you're like, then you either can or you cannot. But especially good streamers, they make it look so easy. It's like you just sit there, play games, and talk to people. Easy. Obviously, we're going to be talking about these things more in the future between us and other guests for sure. But to me, I had this problem where I used to be a very social person. Now I'm completely opposite. I'm very like I'm an introvert, 100%. And the problem that I had is as my depression was evolving, kind of, my friends and family started figuring out, and everyone tried to help me. And I think it's very important to talk about this for those who can, just to like for others to understand that they're not the only ones. This happens to people. Everyone's fighting depression in a different way. I'm not trying to like tell anyone how to deal with it, but my solution was I isolated myself completely, and after I think 6 weeks or not talking to anyone, I decided I need someone to communicate with, or I'm gonna go crazy. And this was a day I created my Twitch channel, or sorry, when I streamed for the first time, and no one was there, of course. I talked to myself, I played Hearthstone, and I thought, man, how is this even going to work? A week later, I had 3 4 people who were always there. And what was important for me was I could talk to these people about random stuff because they're not worried about me. They're not trying to help me in that way. So we can talk about, what's the weather like, or what was very funny for me because I traveled the world a lot. I could talk about where they're from and if I've been there or not, and it's always something fun to do. So that's how I got into streaming. Um, just like US. So I had a quick like upward trajectory, even crazier for me. I don't know why. I feel like this is like once you have it and you enjoy streaming, I think that there's a huge element of luck involved. And I got partnered very quickly, like 5 months. Also, for those who don't know, partnership also depend like how difficult it is to get partnership on Twitch depends of where you're from. I'm from Serbia, so the moment I got like all the numbers and I applied, I got partnered immediately. But I also had a lot of friends who had numbers and much better numbers than me. And they would get rejected if they're from some countries that have more streamers. Um, especially like United States, but also I think in your region as well, or I know UK is also the same. So they have like certain percentage per region that they want to have partnered, and it's yeah, some are just easier. At the time, I thought I'm the future superstar of Twitch because oh man, I got partnered in 5 months, but yeah, we'll talk about that as well. And then the decline happened, of course, just like yours. I tried stopping, that did not help me at all. And I want to say, like, I never really recovered from that. Because I was making a lot of money for my standards. And yeah, you kind of stop living completely and you dedicate all your time, resources, yourself to your stream because that's like your business, kind of. Um, I did at some point figure out that's not gonna go anymore. like that. I can't, even in Serbia, I can't live off of it anymore. But I still love streaming. It's such a awesome experience. And it was a long, I think about 2 years of evolution of myself where I came to a point where I don't care anymore. Nowadays, for different reasons, I often stream in literally no category so that people cannot even find me. But I know there's community that comes over and I have a good day. Just before this podcast, I was just playing random stuff like GeoGuessr or whatnot with a couple of friends. And it just helps me go through my day and other hurdles. However, I'll say this, streaming and playing games gave me a lot of opportunities, including the one, and I'm going to end with this. Uh, I actually, there's a game that I'm streaming, which is World of Warships, made by Wargaming, and just like with streaming, one of those opportunities happened where while I was playing or streaming, a little pop up happened in the game that said, um, "We are looking for a new community engagement manager," and I was like, "Nah, it's like on that, it's never gonna happen," you know. Like, I mean, come on. But I did click, and yeah, I'm waiting for my visa to relocate to Czech Republic because that's where the studio is, and I am looking forward to working as a community manager on such a huge game that I'm playing, and it's ships, and it's like just perfect thing that happened. And you know what? If I didn't stream on Twitch, this would have never happened. It's crazy to just think about it.
That is true. And that is very true. Which is an amazing segue to one of the advices that you'll definitely be getting along the episode now and the episodes in the future that we'll be doing with guests. Is that if you have an opportunity where literally there's nothing lost by trying, go for it
So,
because you never know where you end up with.
sometimes just feels like there's no way you're gonna get it. But you actually had recently somewhat similar experience with the Bethesda Netherlands, right?
Yep, correct. I got my best friend sending me a tweet where she was like, You should totally check this out and you should apply for it." And I looked and they were asking for uh, content creators to apply to becoming a potential Bethesda's Benelux next streamer. And I was like, Nah, that's never gonna be me. It's never gonna work. It ended up not being me, but I did end up applying and I did end up being picked and being one of the three finalists for it. So
And
that
I,
was an amazing opportunity. Also an opportunity that definitely helped my channel in a big way
of
as
course.
well. It really got me more exposure. Um but yeah, it's really one of those opportunities where I was like, nah. But again, I thought to myself, what did I lose? What do I lose if I say no? Uh, just go for it. Just try it. Because if they say no, fine, I move on with my life. But if they say yes, then I have an amazing journey ahead of me, in which I learned a lot.
And if you think about it, when the opportunity shows up, we're always like, it's so hard to see ourselves through that prism, like in some other place where we think like, maybe I'm usually think like I'm not good enough for this. But you know what's funny? Like when I saw that thing pop up during my stream, people just jumped on me. They were like, "You got to do it," because they think I can do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is something you build over the years. That's one of those unique things. Like if you asked your community, and we're not going to go with names, we share a lot of communities. I mean, we know each other pretty well, but
yeah,
I can say names right now who would immediately be like, "What, you got to try you," because they see you potentially as even as a winner. It doesn't really matter, and I did as well. And plus, I just want to say that was super awesome content to watch. Um, and I think you got really good networking done there with Bethesda itself. When it was decided that you are not the winner, which I think they were really struggling with deciding who it is, they came to your stream and they were like, "You did great" and everything. And
yeah.
I'm again, I'm having kind of teary eyes here and getting emotional. Um, but it just made the community, your community, um so cohesive in like this goal that everyone had for you to just, I don't know, it was important for everyone that you feel good, that you perform the way you are and all that. I don't think many of us cared about you winning, except for
No.
the good stuff that you would get, which
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
still you
no,
got
yeah.
some giveaways and things. It was so engaging. It was great experience for us as your viewers as well. I just want to say.
Yes. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really nice to see, especially since a part of the community is the community that was there since day one when I started 4 years ago. Um, and the new ones that came along the journey then start getting involved as well, starting to help you get to that goal. And they just all band together. It's just such an amazing feeling to see your community do that and to just see everyone standing behind you going like, we support you, we want you to win, so what do you need us to do?
Yeah.
It is amazing. It was
it
really
was
cool.
it was great. It was great. All right.
And that
So,
was the same for you.
oh my god, yeah. No, but like even I said it, and when I applied, and you were, oh, that's great. And it's funny because I talk openly about many things. I don't play a character on my stream. I am myself, and I talk about my hurdles and whatever opportunities come to me and whatnot. And I wanted to kudos. I'm going to mention a name, and some of you who listen to this might know about her. It's Gina Bruno, who is a community lead community manager of Elder Scrolls Online, Bethesda ZeniMax, and she was an inspiration through her being part of their official stream team back in the days. Through communication with Gina, I figured out that community manager is so much more than what we see from the community side. They're it's such an undertaking thing like that about the job. They're literally a bridge between uh, development of the game and marketing and everything and your community, and they somehow need to transfer the messages while still people not like hating them and whatnot, which happens obviously. But I just watched Gina Bruno and how she was dealing with so many things. I was like, man, this is something I would really love to try. So since back then, like 3 years ago, I was kind of softly trying to get into that, but then when the opportunity showed up, I was like, wargaming may be too big of a studio for me. I don't have experience and whatnot, but
It's
it ended up like, I mean, I can't wait. It's crazy.
going to be an awesome time, I'm sure of it.
I can't wait. Okay, so now that we kind of introduced ourselves a little bit, which I'm sure you're going to learn more about us as this goes on, um, a little bit about the format, um, of this podcast. If you're interested in it, we're planning on bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks we're going to have an episode. It's going to air roughly at the same time, and the idea, as I've said before, is to have a guest. The reason for this is, um, first of all, we love very many different kinds of content, including podcasts, for example. Both of us listen to a lot of podcasts, and I even dive into audiobooks and whatnot. It's very, very um, easy for me to digest that kind of content. But also, as you go through a streaming career, you start networking, and there are very, very good ways and very, very bad ways of networking, which I think is very important to bring up as well. Uh, One of the best way is befriending people and sharing experiences with them. Um, so the first idea is just Esso and me have a lot of friends around Twitch and YouTube that we can bring on and actually talk about their journeys and issues and what we share or what we don't, so that we can learn something from them. But also, um, there's this big problem when once you have your community, there's this constant, I don't want to call it issue, but struggle kind of, where you go through so much stress and so many issues on your end that you really don't feel like sharing with your community um, directly during the streams. But somewhere there, you do want them to know what you're going through. And as a viewer, I also am always curious to know if if my favorite streamers are enjoying what they're doing, if they are making enough to survive, if they need something extra. But if someone starts talking about it, it becomes very tough, right? Because you feel uncomfortable because you know your folks come there to chill with you, enjoy whatever you're doing and not listen to yours, because every they have their struggles like during their days. So when they get there, they want to like be in your little space where it's fine, everything's fine.
And sometimes
However,
it doesn't fit for
mm,
your content. Basically, we
of
just
course,
want to create a space where content creators and communities come together, where content creators can have raw, open conversations regarding what they're doing, what their passions are, what they enjoy doing, but also the struggles that they run into. Because doing this on your stream sometimes is just not something you can do. You can't complain or well complain. You can't out your concerns regarding followers or dropping viewers or whatnot while you're live on Twitch because that'll drop the viewers and the followers, become part of the problem. And also, sometimes your content is just not maybe the right fit. Like some of us chat and some of us really specifically do other types of content and have no place to have these conversations.
true. And then the numbers, as long as someone has been streaming long enough to know that that's their call, regardless if it's full time or fun thing they do. I have a lot of streamer friends who have been streaming for 3-4 years now, and they just stream like 2 times a week, just to have some good times with their community. They build over the time, and the community that expects them to be there. um but also or we have some really big streamer friends that that we get to that level where you can't really connect with every new viewer because you can't read all the chat, you can't answer to everything. It's just an absolute craziness happening at times. um so somewhat giving a platform to people to be able to openly talk about it while you're talking to other content creators. So if I have a problem, it's easier for me to tell to Esu. But at some point, I kind of want my viewership to hear that as well, to know what my struggle is, even though I don't want to tell them openly because I don't want to kind of you know make their mood go down or whatever. When it's good things, usually it's easy to share, right? But I do hope to hear some really awesome stories as well here, that we can just like this, like grab an opportunity. So what kinds of opportunities people had? Sponsorships, collab streams, and whatnot. Maybe I've always had this issue with like setting up goals for my stream, and
Same.
even if it's something that I want to buy to improve my streams, I'm like, I just feel so there's so many things yeah, it's so difficult to like present because you're always afraid that it's going to affect the numbers. Of course, it's kind of crazy.
True. And it's not just a place where we're only gonna complain. We're also gonna like talk about the highs and the lows. It like we said, it's a raw and open conversation between content creators and viewers, and give a place where maybe future content creators also can learn a thing or two, and current content creators can maybe teach us a thing or two. Like, what made their success? Is there anything we can get out of it that we haven't thought of yet before? Like, how do we deal with some of these struggles? How did they tackle it?
True. We're about halfway through the show. Went through the notes that we wanted to mention and make sure we go through. And I would like to continue this with more kind of chill, uh, unguided way where we can share something that we lived through together. So, about 4 years ago, both of us started streaming. And shortly after, well, for me, shortly after beginning my streams, I ended up in Elder Scrolls Online, the Twitch directory, streaming the game that I've never played before. I was never Elder Scrolls fan, and just to mention this, I'm not streaming Elder Scrolls Online for a couple of years now. I rarely play it every now and then, but I'm in the loop because a lot of my community still, is there from those days. However, I've learned so much during my days of streaming ESO, and I think if we want to touch on one very important thing about like general content creators, I think because the growth is always something you want to know about when you start streaming, right? So you want your numbers to go up, you want that affiliate, you want. I think regardless of the platform, if it's YouTube or Twitch or any other, um, I feel like networking really is the number one tool that anyone can do, and uh, it the ESO community gave me this opportunity to do it, to learn how to do it properly. I had some issues with it at the beginning. I made some mistakes, unintentionally at time, obviously. Now when I think about it, I cringe, kind of like, wow, man, like why would I ever do something like that? But
Same.
I mean, you learn. That's how you learn, right? So I'll just go for a little bit and explain my way there. So I jumped in with about an average of like 5, 6 to 10 viewers, and I allowed people to help me learn the game, which I think is very important. You don't need to be an like professional level esports gamer to stream, but if you're not, you require some other things, usually communication and allowing people to engage with you. So for me, which I didn't know at the time, I was afraid to start streaming Elder Scrolls Online because I don't know anything about it, which turned out to be a great thing. And I did this again a couple of times with Star Citizen, uh, Pagan Online, a couple more games where I would go. My first stream is my first time playing the game. Like I literally don't know anything. Usually, you're gonna if you have this in your title, there's people who love to help, and if you let them and you progress through them, basically, so they tell me how to do a dungeon, how to heal, what spells to use, and they see how you're getting better. It feels like you did something together as a community, and people tend to stay because you did take an advice from them. So then later on, a year or two, I could give advice on how to heal dungeons to these same people because they made a break, or I have so much more time to play, so they can pick up from me. But another thing, and I wonder how you did this. So for me, networking with other streamers was crucial. So I thought this through when I made mistakes in earlier games, and when I came to Elder Scrolls Online, I thought this through, and I figured out here's the thing. I want to find, but listen to my words. I want to find 3, 4 streamers whose content I really enjoy, and I want them to be roughly on my level of numbers. So like up to 10. So every day after stream, I would go through Twitch directory, find 4, 5, 6 viewer Andes as as we are called, right? And get into their streams and sit there for half an hour, see if I like their vibes, follow them, and then go back over and over again until I realize what their thing is, how they communicate to people. Are they nice? Do they answer questions? In my mind, this was very important because I wanted to talk about them in my streams. And this was the start of my, I think, good networking. So then, let's say, Astro, you come to my stream, and I'm like, hey, yesterday I was watching Rob Insomniac, for example, and I think she's great. She did this, and I really enjoyed it, yada, yada, yada. Without any shout outs or anything, but I would mention their names. What happened was really strange, but it worked. Uh, a week or two later, I would have some of these streamers come to my stream telling me, hey, you were talking about me in your streams. What happened? There was some overlapping of viewers, or some viewers went to see them because I mentioned them, ended up liking them. Because guess what? If you like me and I like someone else's stream, chances are, there's a connection. So therefore, we created kind of a small community around us that grew together. And quite a lot of us actually ended up partnered and then not really continuing with that, whatever, because of certain reasons. The other thing that I was doing always is so I would go and make sure I enjoy these streams, and then off stream. So not like in their stream, hey, I'm streaming. Can you do a shout out? Or, oh, sorry, I need to leave now because my stream is about to start. Or any kind of like sneaky, jabby, like making sure the content creator in their stream knows that you're streaming. Trust me, you might think this is a good idea. It's not. It's going to backfire. It's counterproductive. But later, I would DM them on Discord and be like, "Hey, I really like your streams, especially I don't know, pugging dungeons, for example." And I started streaming recently. Are you okay with me doing a shout out for your stream? So it's me asking them if it's okay. I know it's a little bit sneaky, but this is between me and that content creator. No one else can see it. It's our conversation. Some of them were very like, you know, almost rude to me. They were like, get out of my way, and that's fine. That's all right. Later on, some of us became friends, really good ones. And it's also funny when your numbers go up, how easy you make friends on Twitch. By the way, but some of them were immediately like, "Hey, that's cool. I'm gonna check your stream, and we can like do a dungeon together or something." And and this helped me grow so much. Like relatively easy within the same group of people in the same category. I made it to like 50, 60 average viewers in like, I don't know, a month or two. Um, and I was really, I thought I'm like giga brain, like, I was doing everything right. And then after that, it just snowballs and whatnot. But I want to mention before I let you tell us your story about that category, this was, I figured out early, it's so much easier to grow your stream in like if you stick to one game, and it really is. It's so much easier, especially if it's an MMO, because you mingle around, you get to know people, people get to know you, you stream, you help them out, you tell something, you ask for something, and you become part of that like almost family, like community, whatever. But if you change game, if you've been streaming that one game for a long time, you're gonna drop off, and people don't get it. Like, you're gonna drop off like 90%, which doesn't mean that people hate you or don't like you anymore or whatever. No, it's just that's how Twitch functions, and we'll talk about that another time. But keep in mind, if you're trying to do mimic what I was doing, it works in one category. If you're like streaming different games all the time, I don't know if this can help you. I really don't. However, I know one thing: if you grow your community streaming a variety of games, maintaining the community is much easier, because these people who stick with you through 3 4 different games, they probably don't care about the game. They want to see any game you play through your eyes and your mind, and they just enjoy that. None of this is wrong or right. It's just like super different. But yeah, these are some experiences of me diving into world of streaming and Twitch, which, yeah, is huge part of my life now. How did you end up in Elder Scrolls Online? And I think you played before, like you are actually
Yeah,
an Elder Scrolls Online player,
my
right?
my story is so different than
Yeah.
yours in that regard. I'll tell you what I did absolutely wrong,
Yes.
and then what I changed. And what I might still be doing wrong, I don't know. I have to admit, I'm someone who really has a hard time networking with people because I'm pretty shy and pretty self-reliant in a weird way. Like, I really like to just grow on my own, and I realized that, that asking help and getting help is really not a bad thing. So don't mean it like that, but that's just how I work as a person.
I don't think this is
um
right or wrong, by the way. And I know this because of the way you approached me at some point. I was like, what? Esu? Like, are you serious? Sorry for, yeah, jumping in.
No worries, no worries. When I started streaming, I was already playing Elder Scrolls Online quite a bit. I was pretty addicted to the game. I was hiding myself in the game. I think I played easily 12 hours a day when I was not working, and I ended up being unemployed. So those hours became more and more and more. And I was only streaming Elder Scrolls Online. I wasn't playing any other game. And this is streaming a game and playing outside of stream the same game. So just nonstop. So as you can imagine, I burned out pretty quickly. Um, when I started streaming, I don't know what happened, but I was just streaming Elder Scrolls Online. I did hang in a few people's stream some bigger streamers, but I never mentioned that I was streaming. But some of these streamers are apparently people that if they see someone new in the community, to kind of check them out. Because I started noticing that one streamer in particular started mentioning my pronouns, even though I never addressed that. So how would you know I'm she her based on my name, right? So I knew she was checking me out. She was also she outed. Um, and then I got rated by this person. And I don't know what happened, but from that, I started getting rated by multiple people. So it was as if there was going around like, hey, there's this new girl who is streaming Elder Scrolls Online. She's pretty cool. I checked her out. Something like that, because out of nowhere,
It,
people kept coming in from left and right. So I really think I had a little bit of luck there that was going my way that picked me up and it swept me up in the numbers. But because I was playing Elder Scrolls Online so incredibly much, I burned out and it started showing on stream. And that obviously started dropping my community kind of a bit, the followers and everything, because nobody wants to come sit in a streamer who's salty about the game
um,
in a certain level. Um, so
yes, yeah, not salty, but rather bummed about. Like you
yeah,
can feel that you're not
and I was getting very
enjoying it.
toxic. I was not just salty. I was really getting toxic, unenjoyable. It was not fun. So I started streaming different games left, right, and of course, because I only streamed Elder Scrolls Online, my community dropped even more because of what Czech mentioned. Most of my community was built on Elder Scrolls Online, and I wasn't playing that. It wasn't that I didn't like me, it was just like, you're not playing the game we came for. So we're gonna move on. So
It,
I eventually stopped Elder Scrolls Online, did a lot of bunch of other games, stopped streaming entirely, and I do feel the same as you that it, in my opinion, works if you stick to one game. Here's what I did. I started playing Final Fantasy 14 as a new MMO because I'm like Chegg. I'm lost if I'm not playing an MMO. I like spending my time in a huge time sink game. But I didn't want the same thing happening as Elder Scrolls Online where I just burn out. So I started limiting my time on Final Fantasy. Basically, most of the Final Fantasy I play, I mostly only do on stream. When I'm not streaming, I maybe play like an hour and nothing more, or I go play other games. And I started doing variety on the side. And when I pick my variety, I, for 80% of the time, pick games that kind of like fit in the same niche as the MMO I'm playing,
mm,
so that the community that comes in from Final Fantasy will like the other content as well. And I'm
there's a
not doing that
connection.
just for them because I like the same games as well, but there's also a connection. So that's what I started doing, and it for me is really working really well. I'm not burning myself out from the game because I'm limiting it, but I'm still having a solid group of people that have the same likes, I guess, interests
You want to give
coming
examples,
together.
like near Automata, for example? I know because that
Yeah,
comes from
Near
Square.
Automata, Near Replicant, Yakuza, and of course all the other Final Fantasy games
Yeah, yeah.
aside from
Eh,
Final Fantasy 14. Um, the RPGs, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because for me, like I was streaming Elder Scrolls Online like crazy, 10 hours a day, for like a year and a half or so. And it was like just the money income and the numbers going up was enough to keep me entertained in a way, even though the game was never that great for me because Elder Scrolls Online does not have vertical progression like Final Fantasy does or World of Warcraft, which is where I came from. And it was kind of there's so many good things about uh, Elder Scrolls Online, but it was just not something I was playing on stream. I was really because that's not what I enjoy, right? So so I would switch to games that I enjoy, and some of the biggest problems were You can't switch from one MMO to another, especially not to World of Warcraft, for example. You just, it's insane. Like I would drop from like one day I can have like 150 viewers, and then tomorrow I'm gonna stream Iron Man World of Warcraft, 5 people watching, and
Yeah, definitely.
it's brutal. Like mentally, it's brutal. You just feel like turning it off and crying. It's I'm not even kidding. I'm a very emotional person, and it just you just and it's hard. Like now, hindsight, I know this is perfectly normal because people who are watching me when I play Elder Scrolls Online, they are playing Elder Scrolls Online. Back then, what I didn't know is streaming is 90% your audio. So they just have someone, because if I'm sitting there alone, a lot of people play MMOs on their own. If I'm sitting there alone playing an MMO, I have Esu running around the same world and doing something that I can every now and then I'll tab and check or look at the other screen and giggle about it because we share this whole thing, right?
Yep.
Um, and then if I switch to another MMO, people like it's so now the similar games though. I like playing card games, so I grew up playing Magic the Gathering, like actual card game, like tabletop, but also Arena, and I used to play Hearthstone a lot, and then I figured out Elder Scrolls Online had a card game. Now they're implementing that or something similar to the MMO as well, but they had, I think it's called Elder Scrolls Legends, and man, I tried playing that. Holy shit. Like, you know, it's insane. Like the day before that, I was playing whatever game I was playing, let's say World of Warships or my regular game, and I was sitting at like 20, 30 viewers. And then I enter Elder Scrolls Legends, and now there's all these recognizable races, characters, stories, whatever. Man, 50, 60, like people coming in watching. Hey, I always wanted to try, and these are all the people from the Elder Scrolls Online community, and this is why I keep saying that they don't hate you or they don't think you're a bad content. No, there's just no interest of sharing their time because there's someone else who is playing the game they're playing, and they also, because you're not the only person they watch or listen to. And listen, I am
Yep.
Twitch viewer first, or listener rather than, and then streamer. So I do this same thing. But when you're streaming and you come at this like discrepancy at numbers, you don't your brain doesn't work like that. You start feeling bad about it. You start blaming yourself and whatnot. But in reality, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way of the game. Of course, if you're a superstar on Twitch, it's different. But even them, like you watch someone like Shroud playing, FPS games that he's known for. So if he plays CS:GO, everyone's gonna watch him, right? If he's playing Valorant, people are gonna watch because they want to see the transition. If he plays Tarkov, they're still shooting, and if he does call up with some other big streamer, I'm not gonna go with names, whatever, it's gonna be even more. And then the next day, World of Warcraft Classic comes out, and he likes playing World of Warcraft, or he actually plays Elder Scrolls Online. Funny enough,
Yep.
he will drop to like 20, 30% of his viewership, and he will say openly, I don't care, guys. Next month, I'm playing World of Warcraft. The problem you have, and it's still huge numbers. We're talking about like tens of thousands, but he can easily get to 100,000 playing CSGO or more. And
Yep.
the problem that you have on that level is sponsorships and whatnot, because your sponsors also expect certain numbers as well, right? Because multiple reasons. But what I want to say, even though you see them switching games and maintaining numbers, there's so many reasons behind it. But plus, you're a very recognizable superstar. So if I switch from Elder Scrolls Online to World of Warcraft, those people who are watching World of Warcraft streams, they don't care about me. Who am I? If Shroud jumps to World of Warcraft, then they're like, oh shit, that guy Shroud that we've heard about, he's trying our game. So let's see how he feels about it as a big streamer. You can never compare yourself to if you like I used to do this, especially when my numbers were starting going up. I started comparing myself to some big streamers. Super wrong. You always need to stay where, like, the same group of people you start streaming with. Eventually, you'll grow together and whatnot. Or it doesn't really matter. As a matter of fact, the best thing is not to compare yourself to anyone. Just enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly. Enjoy what you're doing. And the hard part about enjoying what you're doing is that some people actually earn their money with it. Um But even then, you could balance enjoying what you're doing and keeping your numbers at the right place and not start comparing yourself to others.
The problem is, I I never thought. I'm not gonna go with numbers. I don't know if we ever talked about that. I mean, I would talk to you about this, no problem. But like publicly, contractually, we're not allowed to as well. Um, but I was making 3, 4 times more money monthly than working on board cruise ships, and living in Serbia, that's a lot of money. So at that point, you get really confused and you feel like you're on top. I remember going with a friend of mine, like outside to eat food, and we were laughing, but I was paying for everything because whatever, I'm making shitloads of money. I uh, uh, I bought my rig and all the equipment that I'm using to this day through stream, and we would be laughing like, "Hey man, we're eating here." A year ago, I was jobless, and now I know like if I check on my mobile phone, there's like 20 people talking to my chat while I'm not even streaming, and you're like, "That's it, I made it." It's crazy. And then going from that to not making minimum amount to get paid monthly, um, no matter who you are, this is going to mess with your brain. And I'll be like, now years later, I'm so happy that I lived that moment. I know not a lot of people can get to that, right? And all the things that came to it, like your Bethesda collab. I had collab with the ZeniMax and Elder Scrolls Online team and all that stuff. These are all the experiences that potentially led to my job that I'm getting now, right? Um, but I'll tell you right now, if now I know better, and if I started streaming now, I would have done it completely different. But you know what the problem is? 99.999%, I would have never made money I made back then. And you can lie to yourself, and maybe some part of, not US, obviously, like just in general. Some people might be strong enough, like mentally, to really don't care. But money is fun, and especially when you don't expect it and you get it from something you really enjoy doing, and there's no limit to it, right? So I knew the more I stream, the more I make, which is crazy, right? Like I'm gonna start working now in wargaming, and the payment is fine, it's more than I need. I'm a relatively humble person, um but I know that's what I'm making, right? Like I work for this amount of money. When I streamed, it's just crazy. Like I knew I can make 5 times more if I stream like 14 hours a day. I, so it's you lose yourself in that. My life was gone at that time. That was very unhealthy. I really fucking enjoyed it. And to be fair, before streaming, I was so depressed to a point where I wouldn't talk to anyone anymore. I wouldn't leave my room for months. I couldn't get a job because I had really huge emotional problems. I was suicidal at the times. Um, and to be fair, a lot of that carried over to this day. I don't think I will get rid of many of these things ever in my life. I gave up having family, kids, all of that because of the issues that I've had. Life did hit me very hard before streaming, um, but um, yeah, I don't know where I was going with this. I got confused, but yeah, oh yeah, at that moment you get lost completely. Like you, everything opens up, and you feel success is also like a drug, right? Like you love no matter. I remember first couple of days I had screenshot of having an average of 7 viewers and having my first subscriber. Like someone decided to subscribe to my channel. I was out of my mind. I didn't care at that time about the number, right? The money or whatever. It was just like success is such a drug. But the problem is, if you're failing, it feels like 3 times worse.
Yes,
And you're losing something crazy, right?
exactly. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, I think well, we're not the only ones who go through this. I think majority of streamers who keep going, and there's this grind, right? Like you felt that once you don't want to stop, right? And you've invested yourself. You've created community, which is so many positives. Even if you like go down, there's so many positives that you start appreciating over time as well. But I'm sure a lot of people feel this on different levels. Like the numbers that I was making, by the way, nowhere near like I didn't buy a car or an apartment, or I'm not talking like that much, right? And it was not lasting that long anyways. So most of it I invested back into streaming and whatnot. I wanted it to look good. I wanted to provide back to my community. Maybe back then, if I knew it's not gonna go that way, I would invest in something. Probably not. You want to give back. You always want to give back. But like
True.
people are making millions a month and whatnot. I'm not on that level, and which is why I want to say, like, regardless of the level, you if you stream on Twitch, for example, or you make YouTube content or whatever, and you stick to it for years, that means that at some point you had some uphill, trajectory there, and probably some fluctuations, but you felt that beautiful feeling of growth on your own that keeps you, wanting more. And you always hope for that, even though you're satisfied with more like down to earth things. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind your numbers going like up. Who would care? Like, there's a point where you may start feeling uncomfortable with numbers, and we can talk about that the other time. But I mean, I'm gonna ask you just simply now, like, would you like to for your stream to grow for like 50% or something, and income?
Definitely.
Who
Yeah,
wouldn't? I mean, it's crazy.
it's true. It's true.
I think money is another thing that, like, I don't think we're ever gonna talk about the actual numbers here. It just wouldn't be smart. But I think that's another point that we might hear from other streamers, like how that affected them, how it's affecting them still. Some are making a lot, some are making less. And it's also another thing that you don't want to really talk about while you're streaming. Some people do,
Well,
but
also a part that's I think very well, I don't want to say misunderstood, but what I mentioned earlier, like you really want to enjoy what you're doing, but when you're earning money with it and it pays your income, it's really hard. It of course it's still important to enjoy what you're doing, but like you mentioned, it's
different.
hard to stick to that. It's so much different when you need to pay your income, and also when your income is really high and you're like, okay, I can maintain this for now, so why not continue going with it, or let's see where the limit is. But there's also the side where if you start switching out your content or changing the things you're doing because your current path feeds you but isn't making you happy, so you hear the famous you should do what makes you happy and you start switching it around, suddenly your food on the table is being touched.
Jeopardized, yeah. And that
And that's for
that's
the side
very
of people that,
difficult.
yeah, it's for the side of people that do full time. Of course there's a lot of content creators that don't do it full time, but there are those who do it full time. And overall you'd hear, oh, you should totally do whatever you want to do and whatever you feel, but it's not that easy.
It's really not.
It really is not.
I'm sure that's gonna be one of the topics.
Yes.
It's also you start having expectation about how much you're making monthly was like the minimum you can go with, and that bar raises as well. And when it starts going down, I mean,
Oh yeah.
just like any other job, like if you're losing money, like getting paid less and whatnot, you is that Khaleesi in the background?
Yes.
Oh, Esu is mother of two beautiful cats, and
Yes.
I'm sure Khaleesi you're gonna be seeing around. She's sitting there staring at the camera, not camera shy. We see Khaleesi all the time.
She's already incoming.
The other one, I don't think we're gonna see her that much, but I would
No.
definitely like you to share that story once because that's such a wholesome story about
Yes.
saving a cat.
Sorry, she just fell off the
It,
table. She's crying
it wasn't
again.
very loud though.
All
All
right.
right.
I think she's actually coming in right on time
Oh, perfect.
to call us the
Perfect
cliffhanger. Yeah, she also
ending.
shows the beautiful angle, the perfect ending, the nice cliffhanger to next week. I
Yes.
certainly hope everyone who's listening enjoyed this. Um, we're gonna have some very nice guests
Yeah,
up in the
we
lineup
have a
for
list
you.
already. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
can't
if
wait.
we're gonna reach a point where we'll definitely be asking you, the listener, to make your recommendations as well. Or maybe you are a content creator who would like to be on this show and share the story and talk. We'll definitely be checking it out, and who knows, maybe you'll be sitting here next.
Yep. The social links are in the description. We both have, if you want more, both of our Twitch channels have Discord servers on it. You can join any of us. You can always talk to us as well. Very, if you did not figure out already, we are communicative people for as long as it's in the boundaries, Don't be weird, please. But other than that, we're always happy to talk about things and whatnot. And yeah, with that, I think
I'm
we
going
are
to say until
done.
next time.
Until next time. Yes. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.